Hey, it's Francis again, and today I'm going to keep working on my new Dungeon Synth EP, and I've been sort of doing different approaches to synthesis every time. So today I was thinking of making an exciting like polysynth sound, and again I'm going to be working only with stock Reaper plugins, so this is going to be an interesting challenge. I did some practice this morning and I have some new ideas, and I'm excited to share some of them with you. I think that they are underutilized techniques, and I also think that it won't take too much imagination to think of other ways we could apply these techniques. So hopefully we get something out of it. Anyway, if nothing else, we'll get a cool song out of it, I hope. I am currently listening back to the song that I made yesterday, which was called The Winding Spiral Staircase. And in this one, I sort of tried to recreate algorithmic FM synth, particularly with this patch. And it turned out okay. I think the song turned out cool. At the end of the day, FM synthesis is not super doable with Reaper, but we came close. So the song that I'm making today, I decided to name it An Unsettling Surprise, and I kind of want like drunken polysynth as the vibe of it, sort of like a CS80. I've been sort of jonesing after Deckard's Dream, and who knows if I'll actually dump the money onto that, but you know that I don't mind spending a lot of money on synths, so it's possible. So I remember this next section of this song being my favorite. And let's just see what happens. See if I still like it. And I'm listening to this just to sort of get myself in the mood for working on some more music. This is cool. Jump over to my stream in Reaper here and check out the project. As a quick recap, we've got my FM sound here, a brass patch in here with modulation line bringing in sort of like a chorusy vibrato, stereo echo bass patch, all kinds of stuff going on here. Well, I think that I am relatively happy with this and inspired to start the next one. So I'm going to jump over there after this ends. Actually, I can't bear to let this play back without finishing it. And then I'm going to start sound designing some patches for the next track. I kind of like that there's no release time on that. It's neat. Okay, so here we are, blank slate. Let's start with, well, okay, so first of all, for a poly sound, I'm going to start with, again, my only option as a stock Reaper plugins only project. We could use a sample as our sound source, but in this case, I think that's going to require some other tone generation. So this one I'm going to use my keyboard to figure out what I'm doing. Let's gonna start with minus 20 decibels here, and square wave. I want to do like I really like the pulse width modulation for poly sounds. And what I'm thinking of doing is having a few different layers that are sort of doing different things to this polyphonic sound. And the first layer is going to be sort of a pad. It's as good a starting point as any. And this is going to have pulse width modulation, so we're going to parameter modulate with an LFO. And turning the strength and speed down. What's up, Colin? Welcome. So right now I'm just getting started with sound designing a poly sound. And to get this really trunk sounding, I'm going to do some tuning instability. So parameter modulation on the tuning. Really low strength though. Even less than that, maybe 1.5. I accidentally hit that 6 and that's fine. That's getting close. Feels pretty good. Okay, cool. I want to do 2 layers of that. And the second layer of it is going to have different tuning instability. So that parameter modulation is going to look different. And it's going to be essentially the same thing with different phase, slightly different strength. Let's do just 1 and slightly different speed. It's going to create a chorusing effect. I also want to give the pulse width modulation different phase. And that's going to give it a little bit more of a sort of drunken CS80 sound that I'm going for. And of course we're not going to sound anything like a CS80 in here, but that's sort of to be expected. Next I'm going to do a second layer. And this is going to be a sort of a different sound design. I'm going to do a sawtooth here. And it's going to be a sort of a pop. And this will be, again, relatively low volume. Let's do minus 20. And I'm going to duplicate this one and have one of them be tuned up a little bit, maybe like 8 cents up. And the other one be tuned 8 cents down, minus 8. So I'm getting my attack from this sawtooth. Sounds like this. And then I'm going to get my sustain from this pulse width modulation square wave. Nice, it's sounding great so far. I think that I want to give, let's see what happens if I go in here. Give this a little bit of a, something like that. And maybe I'll give this a bit of a stereo field. So I'm going to send this one out of just the left channel. I'm going to send this one out of just the right channel. like that. I think I need one more. Hey, Ekin Turner. Nice to see you here. And oh, Colin, I've been thinking about that, and I've been slacking off on it. So you know what I'm going to do is rename. Let's call this one left PWM. Rename. Where's rename? It's F2. Okay. Right. PWM. Pluck 1 and pluck 2. And this will be center pad. In this pad, I want it to have sort of the same kind of a vibe. Another PWM kind of a sound. This one will be a bit more present. Minus 12. And let's do, again, LFO on the parameter modulation here. Slow speed, low strength, centered. And then tuning will also be LFO parameter modulated. And this will be, did I even get this right? I just need to make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, parameter modulation, LFO, strength is going to be 1%, and speed will be, oh. Nice, okay. I'm going to turn this down more, it's still a bit loud. Let's go closer to minus 20. Nice. Okay. And now I want sort of like a let's call this main synth, main poly synth. And I want a filter on this now, but I want sort of a, well, I want two filters. I want a, let's just pick a filter. I want a, what do you call it? A high pass filter. And we're going to choose one of these. I don't know. That actually sounds cool moving around. Modulate that. Let's do that with just a really fast triangle LFO, or really slow rather. Really ultra low strength. Something like that. Give it some motion and something like this. Yeah, sounding good. And then I also want more like a what do you call it? A low pass filter. And I want this to be, let's see. Yeah, why not? Let's go for 4-pole. And I want this to be sort of, I want it to get hit by the an envelope. So I want an envelope on this filter. And this is where I'm going to start having to get creative, because I can't just send the envelope from the synth to my filter. And that's because this is not a modular synth, right? It's just Reaper. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another synth here. This is going to be my modulator synth. And this is going to be an instance of resynth that I'm going to use just as an envelope. And this is going to be essentially, I'm going to be tracking the amplitude. So I'm going to be taking off the master send. That's this box here, or it's an alt click I think Option click on a Mac. Don't quote me on that. And this actually needs to be, it actually needs to be the same input. And then this isn't making any sound. Cool. Okay. And this one needs to go here to track channels 3, 4. So a new track channel. And needs to not send MIDI. Is that right? Okay. That's wrong. Because that, we can hear this, right? Oh no, maybe we can't. Oh, cool. Great. Okay, so this is actually working fine. And what I want to do is do a quick attack, quick decay, low sustain. And we can see right here in our metering the way the envelope feels, right? The amplitude envelope of the synth. And what I want to do here is to modulate cutoff here on my filter with a side chain coming from channels 3 and 4. And you see that's essentially the envelope is being tracked by the amplitude of my modulator synth. So if I set this here really fast, set my baseline value where I want it. Something like that, right? And I want to make this resonant. Give it some drive. I think I want to give this a bit of release too. That's going to be, turning up the release on all of these. Let's give it kind of a long one. Let's give it like 500-ish. This is going to be different on each one. There's actually a problem in REAPER where once you have some of this parameter modulation going, it doesn't let you highlight this. I'm not sure what that is or if that's like a problem that's going to get solved, but yeah, there we go. The lick. And that's making me feel like I might not like the pluck in here. Let me hear this. I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe if I send the pluck through something else. Yeah. That was a little bit of character. It's okay. Nice. Okay, cool. So now I want to add a little bit of like some spatial effects to it. Maybe some chorusing. Let's see what chorus sounds like on this. Let's try this first. 4 voices maybe. That's too much. I don't think I want the chorus. It already has that stereo effect. Reverb. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to take this room size. I'm going to modulate room size. And I'm going to put different reverb on the left and the right. So, again, I'm using plug-in pin connector. This works like a pin matrix, like on an old synth. Kind of a fancy-ass thing. But, oh God. Something like that. Speed. 7. Okay, cool. This one, same idea. Parameter modulation, LFO, similar speed, relatively low strength, and finding a baseline value that's kind of in the high range, different phase. And I'm thinking maybe like stereo bandpass filters as well would be cool. And that's going to give it sort of like a warping sound. Let's see what filters we have with bandpass. Sure would be cool if there was a MS-20 filter in here. I think that would be perfect for this. Let's do a, which one did I use here? Did I use, let's use Butterworth and see if this has a bandpass. Nope. This one I think has bandpass. Yeah. So. What does this sound like blended? That could be cool in stereo, I think. So let's just blend this down a little bit less, maybe 20%. Duplicate it. And again, we're just going to take this and make one of them on the left channel and then make the other one on the right channel only. And you can do this stuff with anything. It's really kind of incredible. But as a starting point, we're just going to do it with the synth. And we're going to take an LFO. What would it sound like random? I'm on the wrong one, huh? Oh, shoot. I'm on the wet dry. I didn't realize that. I was modulating wet dry instead of modulating the cutoff, which is what I wanted. Okay, let's parameter modulate cutoff. And hear what random sounds like, fast random. That's kind of cool. Okay, and then the next one, I want sort of the same thing. No recently touched parameter. How about now? Okay. This one will also be an LFO. I'm going to try to set it to roughly the same type of value since it's, you know, left and right. I want it to be relatively even. And, hey, what's up, I am error. And this is going to be a random, relatively fast speed, and relatively low strength, different phase, centered. It's not quite working, is it? I'm hearing more of something going on in my left channel here. It's kind of cool. Oh, this is wrong. This is backwards. I see. I copied it again. So this one's actually only on the right channel. They're both on the left channel. Okay, now it's the stereo field. I'm going to put this before the reverb and actually before the low pass filter. What the hell? Let's put it before the other filters completely. And my output is kind of hitting it a little bit hard, so I'm going to pull this down to like -5 decibels. Let's just, I'm guessing here. This one's also going to be -5. Should I get some proper gain staging going here? Still hearing a little bit of saturation coming through that I don't want. Let's pull this one down to -5 also. I'm starting to hate the plucks. Yeah, the plucks don't belong in this. I'm gonna kill them. Goodbye, plucks. It's been nice knowing you. Nice. Okay. The last thing I want for this synth is a stereo delay. And let's do, I really like this one, delay with tempo ping pong. And I'm going to put this right before the reverb. And I also want to saturate the mixer, so I'm going to saturate right before the filter. And I'm going to saturate after the filter as well. So this saturation is going to go here. Still has kind of a lot of low end. I might pull this filter cutoff up a little higher. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another synth in here that's going to be kind of like a primary sound to go with the center pad. And I want this one to be like a long attack, long release. Actually, I want a longer release than the other ones have, and I want it to be just like a 2 octaves of sine wave. And then this one's going to be -12 again. That'll give it an extra harmonic. And still hitting everything a little bit hot. Oh, I think this is too high. I've ended up -20. Yeah. Okay. We're basically designing a modular synth here, aren't we? So this is starting to sound pretty solid, actually. I'm impressed with the expressiveness too. I wonder if I should set the pitch bend amount. I don't know how to do that. I've never tried setting the pitch bend amount. I don't use MIDI controllers often enough. know what? I really don't want this delay to have. Oh, let's do this. You know what? That's a little too much. 50% width. And I think that I want this to... What happens if I do this? Cool. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm sending the in-out of the delay through outs 5, 6, which don't exist yet. And this is going to be delay output. And that doesn't need to be armed, but this needs to go here without sending MIDI to 5, 6. Right? I did that wrong. I don't think I did that correctly. Let's delete that track and try that again. I'm going to do that differently. I don't want to waste everyone's time trying to make sure I have that figured out. So I'm going to do this on a regular send. And this is just going to be delay. And I think that if I put this here and take it off here, that'll work, yeah. Okay, and mix output dry none. Nice, okay. So now this is just the delay. I want to put reverb on the delay. Actually, this one has sort of a spacier tail. And I want to do, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to filter the low end out of this delay. And to do that, I'm going to use a standard EQ. And I want to filter out everything below like 500. Ooh. What if I had this no width with a relatively low? Ooh, yeah. That's sounding great. Wow. That's exciting. How fun. This one needs old school. This is gonna make it. Cool, okay. Fantastic. This is sounding cool. What's up, I am Error. How long you on for? I'm gonna be on here until I finish the track. I'm expecting, well, my hard cutoff time is around 6:30, so 4 hours, but I'm gonna take a lot less than that. I've been on for half an hour so far, and these types of tracks usually take me an hour and a half to complete, to the point where I can't make safe judgments with them. Basically, once I get the track to the point that I tend to get them to in the live stream, I have to leave it alone and rest my ears. Otherwise, I won't. I don't trust my decisions. I usually will give myself between 1 and 2 hours. So I think I'm likely to end before 4 p.m., which is in an hour and a half from now. I'm probably going to end more like 3:30, so in about 1 hour. But I mean, we'll see. I'm having fun with this sound design here, and this is the longest I've ever spent on sound design in one of these Reaper only things, because I'm trying to make a very complicated synthesizer here. And I think I've mostly succeeded. Okay, I'm still getting some problems in my gain staging here. I want this to be saturated as well, and I think it's just too loud. Saturated after filtering or before? Let's just do after. And I want my output volume from here to be down a bit. And I want to check my gain staging here. Let's just lower the output to -6 on these. -6. These decibels all really add up. Let's do, minus. Is that too much? Oh no, that's perfect. Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. Nice. Okay. Cool. This is so much more fun than actually playing music. I love sound design. Isn't sound design lovely? I kind of want to soften up the high end a little bit here. I just want to shape this really, really gently. And this low end can come down a bit as well. I find that everything above maybe 250 ends up being a little bit overpowering, especially when I'm going to have bass sounds in here, I think. And let's go below, I don't know, around 190 hertz maybe. I might actually filter off some really high end. And I want the left and right pads to be more unstable. This is for detune. Let's go up to 2.5%. And then right pad, same idea, tuning, parameter modulation to 2.5%. That reverb is going to help a lot. It's going to squeeze it all together. This is just takes, you can do this forever. That's too much, in my opinion now. I'm going to go down to 2. And I guess I'll do that again over here. Tuning, parameter modulation, down to 2. Maybe this center pad here. No. What does it sound like if I put vibrato on this? That's kind of neat. Maybe I want to bring something else in over time. It's kind of cool if a synth really evolves over a long time. So I think what I might do here is to add an extra layer and have a different modulator. This is going to be kind of wild. It's going to be a new set of sound design, resynth, and evolving layer. And let's put this over here. I actually think I'm going to send it through the same delay. Is this correct? Is this all just main polysynth? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, cool. And this needs to be MIDI input, I suppose. Cool. And then this one I want to do a sort of a sawtooth layer that fades in. It's going to be like almost like a horn section type of a thing. And I think what I want to do with this, let's go minus 20 here, is to give it sort of a left-right kind of a filtering thing. Let's give it some type of motion over time. Let's do, I really like this one. Let's do the Moog 4 pull. And this can be duplicated and parameter modulation, LFO, strength. I'm going to get rid of this original synth for now. Okay, this one I want the same kind of idea. Parameter modulation, LFO. And one of them is going to be just on the right. The other one's just going to be on the left. Slightly different phase. And now if I have this one on again, it's going to give it some more motion over time. Especially if this is moving around too. Parameter modulation. I'm going to make this one just generally unstable at a really, really fast speed. Yeah. Listen to this without. And then. Oh my God. And a little bit of drive. And I think again, just need to kill some low end here. This is cool. And the evolving layer I think also needs a reverb. I should go through the same reverb at this point, but I'm not going to because I'm already this far. I wish I had aftertouch on this. Like, I could set that up, but I kind of want poly aftertouch, and I don't think that there's a good way of sending that to any of these things. I might be wrong about that. I know that I can send MP information with this controller, but we're not going there today. I have to do a bunch of research to see if that's even, a thing that's available. Maybe that's a bit loud. Cool. Okay, I think we found our synth. This might be it for the synth, and the next step might just be playing something. Wow. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's let me just try improvising for a bit. Okay, that was really just a delightful thing to do. This patch has been really fun to play. Dang. I wish that it had aftertouch. Now I want that one of those MPE synths more than ever. MPE is I think it's MIDI polyphonic expression. And what it does is basically just lets you control elements of the synthesizer from your keyboard by pressing harder or softer. And it's really just like, it's magic. This bad boy's got it, and it makes me feel like I'm performing. It gives me a reason to play a keyboard instead of what do you call it? Instead of just drawing the notes in. Having said that, does this song really need anything else? I feel like it just needs to be cleaned up a bit. Like, this whole performance could be better. And I might just listen through it again and think about ways that we could make it, feel a little bit better. Correct some mistakes, things like that. It's just like it's done, What am I supposed to do? Wow. Hey, Vanar666. Yeah, I was just getting kind of entranced by myself. I guess I didn't expect it to be that pleasant to play. It was really a joy to play this patch that I came up with. We might just be putting it on the record like that. There's a couple of notes that maybe could have been at a higher velocity, but it might be cool to just leave it as generally like a live take. Listening through here again, though, I'm going to listen for any notes that I perceive as a mistake, because there might be some. But I'm thinking I might not even add a bass patch like I expected to. Something I will do here is, is grab all of these as a group and put them in a folder track, which I'm going to color code the same way. And let's call it, I don't know, Drunken Dungeon Poly. And this folder is something that I'm going to save as a preset. Drunken Dungeon Poly. And that way I can load that into a project in the future, because I actually do see myself using it again. I've also been thinking about creating Reaper-only presets, where you can just, load the track templates in and use the sounds that I'm making in these videos, because at the end of the day, the only real shortcoming that Reaper has is that the instruments are just kind of bad sometimes. Like, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing with the resynth, it's really hard to get like a convincing sound on it. Huh. I haven't heard any horribly sour notes yet. I guess I played pretty good there. A little bit of pressure when people are watching. I didn't go too far out of my comfort zone though. It starts being obvious that I'm not much of a keyboard player as soon as I start trying to play fast runs. Takes me like 1,000 tries to do a solo. Damn. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I thought we were going to arrange a whole song with this thing. And it feels pretty damn solid by itself. One thing that I will do is consider this bass patch that I've been using as just did I copy this as a template? I might have done this already. Save tracks as track template. Bass. I don't know. Let's call it yeah. I'll just copy this effects chain. Copy all FX and paste FX. And then what we're going to do is take the low notes and duplicate them. Actually, you know what? Why did I do that? I'll just do this and delete the high notes. And my idea here is that maybe I can create a bass line that I like. Let's see if this feels good. Yeah, that might work actually. Trying to get just one note at a time here. Let's get rid of the high ones. Okay, and let's hear this, a little bit of this with the bass patch in here. Do I think FL Studio has good stock synths? Yes. I think FL Studio has excellent stock synths. And I've actually, like, here's how good I think they are. Reaper can run FL's stock synths through Rewire, and I've considered buying FL Studio so I have access to the stock synths. Although I don't really enjoy the workflow in FL, and I can't see myself producing in that program. The synthesizers and samplers that are built into it are absolutely top notch in my opinion. As far as software synthesizers go, they're fantastic. So yeah, I've actually considered buying FL just to use FL's synths in Reaper. I think that I like it more with this bass patch. So I don't know if anyone followed what I did there. I copied the same performance, and I just deleted all the high notes, so I could sort of treat this as a monophonic bass patch. It just fills out the low end quite a bit. It's also going to add some dynamic, a pretty extreme dynamic to this part where I stop playing left hand. There's like a whole section here in the sort of my golden ratio section of the song that leaves out the bass, and I think that with this bass patch, it's going to feel pretty good. This part sounds like a choir almost. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Sort of going for Vangelis, which is like impossible, but there was a video of Vangelis performing live that was floating around in one of the Dungeon Synth groups on Facebook recently. I think it was the Not Dungeon Synth But group, and it was just like so inspiring. Every time I watch that guy play, it's just like, I need to step up my synth game. But without having the polyphonic after pressure, I don't really get to have the same level of expression. However, it's like you really can like get a lot of it through just your note choice and your sound design. And I mean, here we go. Like, this is just an example of putting more time into something to make it sound better. That's sort of my my general outlook is, you know, sure, it sounds good, but you can spend some more time and it'll sound better. Oh yeah, having the bass in there causes this drop off to sound really exciting, I think. It's eerie. A little bit spooky, huh? I am actually being bothered a little bit by the width of the ping pong on the bass. I'm not sure how much that's coming through, and I'm also wearing big headphones, so I'm hearing it really abruptly bouncing left and right, and I want the bass more centered. I submitted a cover for the... Hey, how's it going? I haven't even... Payfund? I've submitted a cover for the compilation using only stock FL Studio stuff, mainly just to try out workflow, but it definitely has some great tools. I think that you're fine doing that. I mean, honestly, I am so impressed by the stock plugins in FL and in Logic. Those two DAWs, I think, are just like, some real magic you can make in them. Ableton too actually has some real magic. Honestly, Reaper does too. The only app that I don't like the stock plugins in that's popular is Pro Tools. Actually, they just they really are just tools. There's no life in any of it. It's sort of like you're expected to have a really powerful hardware studio in Pro Tools, I think, which I dislike. But yeah, FL and Logic specifically have user interfaces that are exciting to work with their stock plugins on. And I'm excited for that compilation. I submitted a cover for that one too, and I just because we aren't supposed to share the covers before it gets published, I only worked on a little bit of a live stream, but I started my cover on live stream and finished it up and submitted it privately, and I'm excited to share that one. It's pretty bizarre. It's out of character for me, but I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm happy with this. Damn. I didn't expect to not do any editing to my performance. I thought I was going to go back in and fix a bunch of MIDI notes afterward. But here we are with a track that I think I might be proud of this. I'll have to come back and listen to it again and hear it in context of the album and stuff. But I think this will be really cool. And I mean, I definitely cheated a little bit as far as my stock Reaper only, because I used a keyboard. This would have taken, if you look at how the velocities are different, the patch I made is velocity sensitive, in case anyone's wondering. And you can see that there's different velocities that are the result of my performance on my MIDI controller. So, although this would be possible to create in stock Reaper, I mean, the fact that it's not exactly on the grid, the note values the velocities are quite different from each other. I wouldn't want to create this on a laptop. So I guess in that sense, it's not truly a stock Reaper project, but, I don't like the idea of buying a MIDI controller and never using it. So here we are. I'm going to cut this stream off, I think, pretty soon here. I don't want to go past an hour and a half, I've decided. And I'm only at an hour 10, and I'm pretty much done with the track. So I just wanted to see if anyone watching has any more questions or anything like that. Questions about my harmonic choices. Just because I think I did a couple of things that were a little bit weird. And the track's sort of riding on harmony rather than on arrangement, since it's really just like one sound the whole time. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, let me know. I'll just leave this playing again. After this next playthrough, the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to cut the stream off. Thanks a lot for watching if you're still in here, and I appreciate the support. I've been having a lot of fun with this channel. Considering reducing the width more. Yeah, I do want to reduce the width more. I don't know if any of you ever noticed that when you're listening to your songs in headphones, if you have like a bass or like a bass drum or something like that, only on one ear, it's like really off-putting. Vanar, I agree. Vanar says, sounds great, even though the notes and velocity are not exactly perfect. In my opinion, it gives it more life. Yeah, I almost wish I hadn't tracked it on a click. I was really expecting to add more stuff, and I actually had a click feeding into my ear, even though it wasn't on the stream. And that's why everything's lined up like relatively close to the grid, if you can see it. But yeah, it's that in hip-hop production, we refer to that as like unquantized, I guess. And that's just, drawing the notes in and then not fixing them afterward. And I was expecting to fix them, but I didn't really need to, because it's close enough to sound good and far enough off to have a lot more life than if I just drew the notes on. And if you don't have a MIDI controller at home and you're just drawing the notes on, you can use, in Reaper it's called Humanize is the function, and it lets you, if you hit H, when you're in your MIDI editor. It's going to let you take your highlighted notes and move them a little bit off of the grid. You can generate random seeds and have it move the notes off, and to varying degrees of slop. In this case, my relatively low level of keyboarding. This is like my maximum level of keyboarding. I can't play fast stuff very well at all. Is unquantized enough to my taste, where if I try really hard, it's off just as much as I want it to be. You do this elevating, I am Air says, you do this elevating notes thing akin to Twin Peaks theme that I never pull off to good effect. So I've never watched Twin Peaks, and the soundtrack makes me want to. I'm a really big fan of the way that soundtrack turned out, and I can't remember the name of the composer, but I like that person's work a lot. And what's happening there is, harmonically, I would describe that as like sort of like subtle chromaticism. So I would describe this piece of music as being in D minor. Like if I had to pick a key, I would Angelo Badalamenti, right next to Ennio Morricone. That's a huge compliment to him. I think he's as good though. It's like a different sound, but absolutely excellent. There's actually a good video describing how that theme was created. Sort of like Rhodes electric piano. I would say that theme is actually an inspiration for my Dungeon Synth material in a lot of ways. You just pick the name out of thin air, and it's someone that I consider to be a huge compliment to be compared to. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, what's happening is essentially identifying notes that aren't too far out of the key, but are definitely out of the key. Like, how do we go up more? And let me let this play out, and I'll play a couple of examples for you. But Payfend says, it's great to see how other people work in DS. I've mostly worked with recording keyboards straight into Audacity, so it's great to see what others do. Keep up the great content. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I started in Audacity probably, holy shit, 15 years ago? 14 years ago? I hate thinking about how long ago that is. But yeah, it's cool that Audacity's been around and free for that long. I really appreciate what they're doing. Yeah, I never got into, I started out recording with MIDI, and then I moved on to keyboards like these that have audio outputs where I record those straight into a program. For me, it's Reaper. It used to be Pro Tools. I started with Pro Tools with my recording after I switched from Audacity. So my first experience with keyboards was in Pro Tools. I was recording. I need to find some of these recordings because they might very well sound like Dungeon Synth. I used to do one note of the chord at a time from a guitar into Audacity using the microphone on my laptop. So it would be like if you wanted to make a chord, you record like an E, then a G, then a B, and you've got an E minor chord. And they're on 3 separate tracks. And that's how I would make recorded music back then, before I really knew what I was doing. And then I was a student at the university in San Diego, which is where I still live today. And I bought the Pro Tools student pack, and it was more expensive than it needed to be. But I bought that, and I started recording in that, just not knowing what I was doing. I was a composition major at the university, and I thought, I thought you just get your music recorded if you're a composer. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. You find out you get maybe 1 or 2 recordings of your pieces of music the whole time you're there, and like, oh wow, if I want to record my music that I write. I need to figure out how to do it myself. So I learned how to produce music, and from there just started recording bands or doing other stuff. And anyway, here we are today. And I Am Air says, I actually tried to copy his Roland in VST, and that's my main Dungeon Synth sound. Oh, do you know which Roland he uses? I'd be curious to know that. Is it like a Roland Jupiter, Roland Juno, something like that? And Payfun says, probably hasn't changed. You're right. Audacity's probably exactly the same as it was. And I Am Air says, I started with Buzz and Acid DJ. Oh, Acid. I had that at some point. I had the demo of Acid. I think that the demo version, it would like cut the sound out every 6 seconds or something like that. So if you wanted a recording from the demo version because you couldn't afford the full one, you have to like make a few seconds of music and then like stitch it together in Audacity, and it was completely impossible. I think Acid was actually an inspiration for REAPER. There's an interview with the developer that designed REAPER. REAPER, fun fact, was actually designed by the guy that designed Winamp. And I'm sure if anyone a little bit older is watching this, Winamp was just absolutely delightful predecessor to stuff like iTunes. A Roland D50, okay. That's a pretty cool synth. Okay, let me just, I promised a little bit of what's going on here. So I'm in D minor, which is D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. And chords, I'll just go through real quick. A triad is a basic chord. So it's you skip every other note of the scale. So D, E gets skipped, F stays, G gets skipped, and then you have D, F, and A. And you can move that shape around. It sort of looks like this. And by moving that shape around, you can sort of work your way up as far as you want. And if you leave the bass note the same, you can walk up your scale in what you'd call triads. And so what I'm doing, though, is identifying other notes that I think sound good. So I'm adjusting things. That's, I've just chosen like one extra note. In this case, it's an E flat. So my outlook is that any note is good if you give it context. So any note is a correct note in tonal music. So I've got a D minor chord, and if I move any of the notes over by one, that's moving the lowest note, the D, up one to an E flat. That's not in the key, but over that D, it still works, right? It still sounds good. If I move the lowest note down one, it makes it feel unresolved, but it still works. If I move the middle note to the left one key, you get, this is actually a really common chord. This is like a D9, D minor 9. And that's works really well. Move the middle note up one, you get a major chord. So D major. And I'm leaving this D in the bottom for context because it lets us feel what each of these notes sounds like in the key. If I move that, the top note now, down one, you get diminished, which is kind of nice and unsettling. Move it up one, and you get, actually, that's a B flat chord with a D on the bottom. So something that I'll often do is go there and then walk my bass down to the B flat, just by way of the scale. So D, C, B flat. Because that makes it feel more like a B flat chord than it does when there's a D on the bottom. And now if I take any of these notes and move it over 2 spaces, bottom one down 2, that's just basically an F chord with a D on the bottom. And that one I can walk up. That feels good. Bottom note up 2. Again, this comes out to this D minor 9 sound. And you can sort of walk that middle voice around. I'm just moving around with my thumb. And create melodies in there. So now middle note, down 2. This is a really weird one. I think this is just a generally unsettling sound. But with that context of the low note, it feels good. And without the context, I think it actually feels better. Very like, what's behind that next door? And then back up to the resolution where it's a D minor chord again. Feels good again, right? And now if I move that middle note up 2, we get D sus4, which is like, you can't go wrong with this. It's like gonna play an 80s power ballad or something like that. Yeah, if that one you gotta make that face, and this one you gotta be like, hi, I'm Francis. Now here's my favorite one. That one. So, if I take that middle note and bring it up a couple of notes, you get a sharp 11, and that's like welcome to space, right? That's like the I think it's just a delightful one, especially when you resolve it to the major chord and then down to the minor one. So that middle voice is doing that with the context of the D chord again, always with the context of your key. And then if I take that top voice, move it up 2, now you got a really delightful chord that wants to actually resolve to a new place, right? It feels like a key change. And that's because that's actually changing the only accidental in the key of D minor. So D minor has D, E, F, G, A, B flat, and C. And that top voice up 2 keys makes that B flat into a B natural. So it's another one of those ones you gotta make a face for, right? And the thing is, that actually wants to resolve to the key of A major, for whatever reason. Well, I mean, the reason is that it's really related to your dominant function in A major, and that's an E major chord. So if I take an E major chord, and I you know, basically take that B, the B natural, which is sort of like, I don't know. There's a lot of ways of thinking about why this works, but at the end of the day, that D minor chord with the B natural on top of it has the same sort of harmonic function as a dominant chord in A. Do you hear that? Now that A chord feels really good. And this is like where the music theory knowledge actually starts to help if you want to go wild with it, because now we've got every note. You've heard every single note on the keyboard with a D underneath it in the key of in the context of D minor. That's literally D with every single one of those, all 12. And you can even go beyond those 12 and you can figure out which ones sound good if you bend the note out of tune a little bit. And some of them end up being delightful, but I can't play them on a keyboard because when I'm doing it polyphonically, my pitch bend is controlling all of the keys instead of just one of them. So there's actually more than 12 notes that sound good against that low D. So what I can do here, though, is find those ones that sound really like home bass. And go up with my bass, and now I've got that E flat, and now I'm cheating, and I'm still in D minor here, but my bass note is up 1. And now I'm up one more to E minor, and now if I just pretend like I'm in E minor for a second, now I'm playing in E minor. I've changed keys, and now I'm back in D minor. And what I'm doing is I'm finding a note that's like really closely related to the key, and I'm choosing another key that's really closely related. So E minor is not that, it's like, you know, it's got an F sharp instead of an F, and a B natural instead of a B flat. So it's not super different from D minor. And as a result, it sort of ends up working, which is, I think it's kind of wild. But anyway, I've been thinking about doing some videos on like my approach to music theory, because it's like, you know, you learn music theory and it's like, we're done. 3 semesters of college. And that's I honestly completely fucking worthless in the context of writing like dark music or dark ambient sounding music. It's completely worthless if you're writing heavy metal songs. It's completely worthless with just an enormous amount of other styles. And I've been people have actually been asking me about how I do harmony. And, you know, I always like make fun of YouTubers for being like, oh yeah, people have been asking me about doing this. So I made this video. Here's my Patreon. And I'm like, well, I don't have a Patreon, and people have actually been asking me to do videos on this. So I've been thinking about how to put it together. And, you know, I don't love teaching music theory because it is completely useless in a lot of situations. But at the end of the day, there's certain elements of it that we can take away. And since I've been essentially doing like, here's how I write music, I think that it's important to know what's going on sort of behind the scenes with my note choices, because there's a couple of things that I do a lot. Stuff like that, or stuff like that. And, you know, you can do some really kind of delightful stuff if you approach harmony differently from what I guess you're taught to do in the first couple of semesters of a music theory course, or, you know, your as great as it is, like Andrew Huang's 30 Minutes Music Theory. It's one of the best starting point videos, and if you don't know anything about music theory, I recommend watching that video. I think that he does an excellent job of teaching that, like, absolutely, here's the basics of what people are talking about when they say music theory. But music theory is really like sort of bizarre Eurocentric like thing where it's like, here's, you know, a couple of old dead German dudes, and let's pretend like that's what music is. And it's it ignores all these other like India, it ignores the rest of Asia. It ignores Africa, which is so important to music history and the way that music has evolved, like pop music has evolved. It ignores South America. It ignores the rest of the world, right? And I think it's really important to remember that like all of these other places and all of these beautiful cultures and people have influenced the way that we write music. And you can't get rid of that influence. You've heard the music. Every time you hear something, your brain's like, I like that or I don't like that. And either one of those responses is going to color the way you write music. I actually feel that music that I dislike inspires me to avoid those sounds more than music that I do like inspires me to sound like that. Like I hear stuff and it's like, I don't like the way that this like drum groove plays with the song. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to avoid that when I write music. And that's sort of my approach is what do I hate? You know, I'm fueled by hatred. And I'm not really, but that is my approach though, is like you hear like that. and you just say, I don't want that. And that's how you end up there instead. It's different. It does the same effect. It's like stacking notes, and you know, at the end of the day, you're just stacking notes. There's a use for everything, like cluster chords. Like, I could totally see using that for something. Maybe I'll use that for one of my dungeon songs. I'm just putting my hands on the keyboard. If you do that in the key of D, it's still in D minor. It's like, it's a fucking cluster chord. I'm just putting my hand down, and it sounds like D minor. And now I'm bringing my cluster chord, the top note, up to a B flat. I'm literally have my hand on the keyboard, and I'm keeping track of where the top and bottom note of that cluster are, and it sounds like it's in D minor still because of my bass line and because of the top note of that cluster. Like, you can take theory to like the idea of music theory to like the outer limits of what a keyboard can do, and you end up with this just phenomenal palette to work from. And yeah, if people think that, you know, music theory stops at like a chord for each note of the scale, you're really missing out. And you're never going to write music that sounds really sort of like dark and moody in the way that that I like, in the way that I assume people that end up on my channel enjoy. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out how to put that together, and the videos are proving to be pretty hard to make, but I think they're worth making. So yeah, let me, I'm going to call this stream off here, and let me just jump back over to my chat and see what else is going on. I've been ranting. And okay. Oh man, just buy a bunch of, I should buy a bunch of Badalamenti records. Badalamenti, and I think I'm saying that correctly. I'm channeling him right now, and it's kind of useless. I think it helps people. Yeah, exactly. So it's not useless, but it's a collection of vocabulary words that we can use to describe other people's music. I think at the end of the day, it's important to recognize that music theory is a set of tools for describing and recreating more than it is a set of tools for composition. We can use those tools for composition because a big piece of composition is recreating sounds that we've heard. Oh, hey, I heard, you know, Badalamenti do this thing. What notes are those, and how can I make them work in another key? That starts to become useful, right? Like, so I've been showing you this stuff in D minor, knowing that you can take every single one of those notes and move it over 2 keys, and now you're in C minor. Like, that's useful, but that's not really the way that music theory gets taught most of the time, which is, that's the problem I have with it, is that it's sort of presented as this like Rosetta Stone for like how to translate music into something else. And then you see people like, I saw a video on TikTok the other day, and it's like the worst video I've seen on that app. And there's a lot of garbage on that app, but this is the worst one. It was a music theory teacher analyzing WAP by Cardi B in F-sharp blues scale. Right? Because he said that that's the only scale that has that bass line. And first of all, he's missing out on the melody having other notes. And he's missing out on the fact that that song's not written in F-sharp blues scale. It's just not. You can tell by listening to it for a few seconds that you're like, this is not F-sharp blues scale. This is literally just a tonal center of B, because that happened to be on the keyboard. It wouldn't really matter otherwise. It's like, and it's basically got this like pedal tone up here, and the pedal tone bends in from below, and the lower line goes up. And the song's based on rhythm, and it's based on lyrics, and it's got a phenomenal groove to it, and it's in the key of, the key center is B, and the other notes don't matter. The notes aren't part of that's not the important part of the song. So anyway, that's my opinion of that, and I think that was the stupidest video I've seen on TikTok. It's like, you know, kids are using this app to learn, like they're seeing music theory videos, and they'll see that and believe it because they don't know better. And now this person has taught potentially, like if that video were to go viral, he's taught potentially millions of people the wrong thing. And now you're going to have all these pretentious kids being like, oh yeah, that song's an F sharp blues scale. It's like, no, it's fucking not. Anyway, what do you say? It's framed history, unfortunately. Yeah, absolutely. So music theory is based on the church music of Western Europe. Because when you talk about Western music theory, it's stuff that was written in, Germanic languages, Romance languages, French, English, German, stuff like that. And you have the people who knew how to write, monks, people that worked for the church, who knew how to write music, people who worked for the church. What did people who we study do? J.S. Bach worked at a church. He was the organist. All that music was stuff that he wrote for the church. He wasn't a music teacher. He wasn't trying to be anyone special. He was trying to feed his 20 kids. J.S. Bach had 20 fucking children. And he was working at a church to pay for the food to feed the family. And the music was written down because it was church music. And there's plenty of delightful music from that period that's lost forever because it wasn't written down and it wasn't played by people that knew how to write or read or write music. And it's, history is written by the people that win the wars. It's written by the people that know how to write. It's written by the people who are in positions of power. And the same is true of music theory. And as a result, a great deal of what you learn about music theory is useless because it's ignoring the people that lost. It's ignoring the underground. It's ignoring the underdog. And you can sort of triangulate what's going on in some of those situations. But at the end of the day, you can't sort of treat it like this is the rules. It's not even that you're learning the rules to break them. It's you're learning a set of rules that were created for music that was written in a different tuning system for a different time period for a different purpose. And anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. And I will probably do one more of these streams this week because I'm trying to release this music on Friday. I'll be live on Bandcamp Friday, shopping for music. If anyone's got a new release, I would love to check it out. If you've got a cassette, I'll buy it. Unless it's like, $666. I've seen stuff like that before, which is, funny, but I'm not going to give you that much money. If you've got a cassette that's $10 or less, I'll buy it. And we'll listen to it on the live stream, and I'll be looking at some other recommendations. But I'll try to release this on that date. So I'm not sure what other day I'm going to have time to do this, but sometime this week. We'll see. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Oh, wait, one more thing. It's why I love 1920s jazz. They were like, yeah, exactly. Turn this shit on its head. Contrafacts. I'm going to do a video on contrafacts. If you don't know what those are, it's when you take a chord progression and reuse it for a new song. The chords aren't the song. The harmony isn't the song. Music theory isn't the song. It's just a frame of reference. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for this. It's been fun. I've had a great time. I'll see you next time.